Hospital Porter's pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. I am Ben Emlyn Jones, aka Ben the JR Porter, and today HPANWO TV is on location again. Now you're not going to think I'm very much of a tour guide now, because the last time we went on tour we went to Martyrs Memorial in Oxford, and it was a very lovely touristy place. Today I'm at a place which is off the beaten track for tourism. In fact, it's off the beaten track for anyone who can avoid it. It's Didcot Power Station at Didcot in Oxfordshire. You can see it behind me there. All the smoke coming out of the chimneys and the cooling steam coming from the cooling towers and stuff like that. What it is, it's a coal-fired power station which is part of the national grid, which provides our electricity. Now, electricity is something we take for granted. It's something that's essential for civilised human life. It runs off the national grid in Britain, which is pretty much the same in any other country. The national grid is what it sounds like. It's actually a grid work of wires that is laid out all over the country, and it consists of pylons, underground wires, substations, and it's charged at every point along it. It's charged by at several locations by power stations like you see behind me. Now, the power station, Didcot Power Station, is coal-fired, like I said. Some are powered by nuclear fission, which we'll talk about later on. What happens is that coal is brought in, not British coal, because Margaret Thatcher closed down all the coal mines in the 80s. Now, the coal for this power station is brought in from Russia, it's imported from Russia cheaply, where it is ground down into powder and fed into the furnace where it's burnt. The burning of the coal heats water in a boiler till it's steam, and the steam runs through turbines to return a huge dynamo which charges the national grid. The steam then passes into those cooling towers where it is condensed back into water. It drips down into the cooling lake, and it's pumped back up to the boilers to start the process all over again. Now, in the first place, there's many disadvantages with this system. In the first place, it's extremely dirty and it's dangerous. Coal is a very hazardous substance indeed. It's highly poisonous. Getting it out of the ground is very difficult, very expensive, extremely dangerous. It costs human lives, causes injuries and deaths. Mining is still one of the most dangerous jobs you can do. It's dirty. Its exposure to it has been known to cause cancer. The fumes from the power station pollute the environment. They pollute the water, they pollute the air, they pollute the soil, they get into our bodies, they get into our brains, they get into our blood. I'm not one of these carbon cultists. I'm not bothered about carbon dioxide emissions. I don't believe they're harmful at all. I'm much more concerned about the petrochemicals and soot and the sulfur dioxide and other noxious chemicals that thing releases behind us. You know, it really is a bit of an eyesore, isn't it? In fact, it's the biggest eyesore in Oxfordshire, and it's not just an eyesore, it's a nose sore, because it stinks to high heaven. It really is. And it stands out like a sore thumb in the flat South Oxfordshire countryside. You can see it all the way from miles around, and it really is an appalling sight. Another disadvantage of Didcot Power Station, along with its environmental disadvantages, is that it's extremely inefficient. Because you generate electricity from a single centralised source, which is a very long way from the bus where it actually does its work, it has to travel along wires. Now, these are not superconductors and whatever you might have heard from science fiction movies. These are just normal copper wires, and as a result, a lot of electricity is lost to, a lot of the power, a lot of the current is lost to resistance. No matter how good you make your wires, you're going to lose an awful lot of it to resistance. So by the time the electricity gets to where it's going, where it needs to be, it's a lot less power in it than there was when it started off at the power station. That's another disadvantage of it. Now, as you can imagine, it's all very expensive. As I said earlier, it costs money to generate this electricity. I have to pay for it. I use it. I have to pay for it. And here's my electricity bill. You can see there. It basically says, this is coal-fired electricity, you have bought it, this is what it costs to produce it, and that's then what we're going to charge you. Every electricity user in the world gets one of these. Now, of course, going through the disadvantages of the system as we know it. Now, several alternatives have been suggested to this, but not many. You'd be surprised how few. The government, corporations and the energy companies are talking all the time about wave power, solar power, wind power. And you hear all about these all the time, don't you? Well, they're investing all this money into these things. On a small scale they work, but on a large scale it's just not practical. It's not practical to run civilization off such technologies, you know. The wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine. It's just not viable. You can't run a city off it. You can run a small village off it, a small house, even a slow-moving model glider, but you can't run civilization off it. Now, what if I were to tell you something very special? Because one thing that people keep talking about is energy utopia. In other words, what if someone one day, you watch these science programs like Horizon and more this sort of like conformist propaganda, this kind of political scientific conformist delusion, saying, wouldn't it be wonderful if we'd one day discovered something like nuclear fusion? You know, we'd have endless energy for no money at all, clean, free, forever and ever and ever. You know, oh, cheap, free energy. You know, turn water, run something off water. You know, nuclear fusion power, things like that, right? They keep saying, if only, if only. Well, what if I would tell you if that has already been discovered? It's already been discovered, it exists. Everyone could have free, unlimited, clean, safe energy. All you need is a machine that costs £200 that could fit into somewhere as small as a cupboard in your house, and it would provide unlimited energy for your house forever. Or it's something small enough to fit under the bonnet of a car, which means you could drive your car for as long as you like without stopping for any fuel at all. What if I told you that was possible? Well, it is possible. It has been done. It has been done. And we could have it any time we like. This technology has been developed. So why haven't we got it? That's the question. And that's the question I'm going to address in the second part of this film. Because I was talking about wave power, wind power and stuff like that, free energy. Well, like I said, the government are they're focused on investing all technological advances on these impractical ideals. All these things that will not work. There's only one thing that they are working that has any glimmer of possibility that it may provide the energy utopia we're looking for. And ironically, incredibly ironically, you might imagine, the centre for the development of this technology is only a few miles from this monstrosity behind me, and that's where we're going to go next. So stay tuned for part 2 of this HPANWO TV special on free energy. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Thanks for watching.